Hello, I'm Aaron, and today on Camping Necessity we're going to be making some pulled pork. For the first part of this cook, we're going to be smoking some pork tenderloin in our smoker. We like to use a combination of apricot and peach wood chips in our smoker. We're going to be smoking that for 2 hours. Something that I use very common is smoked salt and smoked pepper. So I have some salt and some pepper here that is going to go into the smoker along with the pork because I have 2 extra racks. So we'll see you in about 2 hours. Okay, we're back. That was the longest 2 hours of my life. I've done this recipe before, but it was with a pork shoulder. The reason that I'm using a tenderloin is simply because it was on sale. It's still a little bit more than a pork shoulder, but it's more lean meat and no bone in it, etc., etc., etc. But I figured, what the heck, we're going to try it with the tenderloins instead. The tenderloin doesn't have as much fat as a shoulder in it, so there's a modification that I'm going to do to try and keep the meat nice and tender. 2 hours in the smoker was not enough time. It would never be enough time for this type of meat. You need a lot of time at a decent temperature to make it nice and crumbly, make it pull apart, typical of pulled pork. Another thing is I didn't season it at all before I put it on the smoker. The intention with the smoker is just to get smoke flavor on the meat, not really to cook it. Okay, we have our smoked pork tenderloin here, and our smoked pepper and smoked salt, which is for future use. I just figured that you'd like to see it. It's kind of, stiff now, actually, because the smoke has kind of bound it together. So we'll have to crumple that up and use it for our seasoning in the future. But for the tenderloin, the rest of the seasoning that we are going to use is smoked salt, smoked pepper, and garlic powder that is mixed equal proportions into a shaker. We'll put that on the tenderloins and it'll season them really nicely. Now, I said that there was going to be a little modification because there's a lot less fat in a tenderloin than there is a pork shoulder. What we're going to be adding is some of the bacon fat from our homemade bacon. We make our own bacon. We take a pork belly, brine it, smoke it, slice it, and freeze it. When we cook it, this is what we get off of it. I'm going to add some of that along with the tenderloin to add a little bit of that fat back in it. Now, some people might frown on that. I don't. Now we're going to be cooking these sous vide. The time it takes to cook these is substantially longer than in a slow cooker like a crock pot, even in the smoker. But you can see that we've got a sous vide set up right back here. The pork shoulder we cooked for 64 hours the last time, and it was without a doubt the best pulled pork that I have ever had. I'm hoping to rival that with this recipe.
Bye.
So that's gonna cook in the sous vide cooker until Sunday. It is Thursday right now. It's 5:42. We'll probably take it out of the sous vide Sunday, maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I don't know how many hours that is, but that's how long it's gonna sit there and cook. We've got it at 150 degrees in the sous vide. It's really going to be good. I think, I hope I'm going to be really happy with my results here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Sunday. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Welcome back.
Oh yeah, welcome back. It's Sunday. It's been 73 hours since we put the pulled pork into the sous vide. Actually, it was the tenderloin that we put into the sous vide. It's not pulled pork until we're done with this video. Let's see what we got. Again, it's been cooking at 150 degrees, and before, the last time we did a pork shoulder, and we cooked that for 64 hours, I believe it was. And it turned out so good. It's really the best pulled pork that I have ever had. So I'm really hoping that this takes care of that. Puts it to shame, and we got something better. Now, something that we did with the shoulder was we smoked it after we sous vide. We put it in here for the 64 hours, then we smoked it for the couple hours, and then we seared it and pulled it apart. We didn't like how little smoke flavor that had. So the whole idea with this was to smoke it prior to putting it into the sous vide, and since it's sitting in its own juices, it would be bringing that smoke flavor all through it, we hope. It's usually the most disgusting looking piece of meat that you've ever seen. Holy crap, that's hot. Coming out of here, but you'll see what happens. Now this juice, we're going to reserve for later. We're going to make some barbecue sauce out of this stuff. And it is outstanding. It's got all the smoke flavor in there.
And what are you doing?
Huh?
I said, and what are you doing?
I'm patting it dry. The dry meat sears better than the wet meat. Yeah. As you can see, they're kind of coming apart. That's because there's actually 4 tenderloins in these packages. There's 2 in each one. But when I started, the meat was still a little bit frozen, so I didn't want to tear them apart. Hey, it'll be fine just the way it is. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can get it out of the pan. We got the grill as hot as it'll go. And we use a professional searing torch for this. That's that. Okay, as with any meat that you ever cook, once you're done cooking it, you need to let it sit there. Just let it rest, let it bask in its own glory. We'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Alrighty, so Erin has gone ahead and poured the reserve liquid from the pork tenderloin into this mason jar, which is going to go in the refrigerator, and then at a later video he's going to show you how we make some amazing barbecue sauce. Erin doesn't love to do the pulled part of the pulled pork, therefore I'm taking over the video and show you how I tend to pull pork. So 2 forks, and we're just going to start shredding the meat. And you can see that this is coming apart.
Holy cow.
Just beautifully. And he's sticking his fingers in there to give it a taste.
That's mine. Oh my gosh.
Now, as you can see, this is really coming apart in big strands, big long strands. If you want to make it a little bit shorter, obviously you can grab a knife and just cut lengthwise so that you don't have one long strand, but it just breaks into smaller pieces. Or you can be like me and just continue to be tenacious and keep shredding away. Anyways, thanks for joining us here at Camping Necessity. Please go see our website, campingnecessity.com, for more tips on great camping adventures. Thanks.
Also, thanks to Laura in the kitchen for the wonderful recipe on how to make focaccia rolls out of her pizza dough recipe. They're going to be awesome. We're going to have that with our pulled pork tonight.